hard, way too hard. Go in, go in. Yes!
Oh my god.
This was very, very important. Hey guys, and welcome back to Future of Golf. I'm Rob, and today I want to talk about the bunker lies and the bunker penalties. And I make this little video series where I show some special maps where you can really practice well and so on and so forth. And today I want to show you one map that is kind of unique. So yeah, let's just see what I'm talking about. So you're going to open the menu here and go into the all maps, all courses. And in the search down here, you're going to put in MK3. Done. And then we see one map that's called Sandland MK3, right? So we're going to load this one. And there you go, right? What a unique map, because basically the whole map is just a huge bunker, right? So you can see here's the flag, and there's not even a green or anything, right? It's just a bunker. And I want to quite quickly point out a couple of things that people really don't know. I mean, here, by the way, we have some kind of, rough. And we can experiment around with that rough as well. But basically, the most important thing is the sand penalties in this video. So, what we're going to do is, first, what is the penalty? If you hover over your clubs, you can see on the right that our lie here apparently is sand, right? We're in the sand, and we have 100% though with all the clubs. And this means that if we put in 100% power, we're going to have the full shot there. If we now take the driver, right, and we're going to make a shot here close to that pin, we see it's a 261 yard pin, and it plays into the wind, 6 miles into the wind, so it's probably not reachable for us. But what I want to show you is that if we have the ball with a pretty high apex, right? So it flies pretty high like the driver usually does, especially when it's into the wind. And then it kind of comes down. It kind of gets very deeply clogged into the sand. While if it just rolls into the sand, right? So you have something like a little fairway bunker, and you first hit the rough and then it kind of just trickles into the sand. Usually your lie pen is not that high. And I want to show you how this exactly works. So first we're going to make a drive down there. I didn't hit driver today yet, but let's see. I'm probably going to just hit a very normal one. Of course, I'm applying the pro difficulty here, so it's not that easy, and the penalty is gonna have a bigger impact. Okay, so a little open face one there, unfortunately, but we get it higher, right? So 110 miles only, and there you go. It just went into the sand. It didn't roll at all, and yeah, it just went 175 miles. Although 175 yards there, 110 miles. So now let's take a look at the lie again. Starting with the driver, we have 15% to 65, right? So you cannot really use a driver out of the bunker ever. You cannot really use these ones as well, because here, this lie, for example, with this club here is even 0 to 30, right? So it probably goes nowhere. This club is, by the way, broken through, but you shouldn't use it anyway. Then we have some 30, 39, 38 lies here, and yeah, basically 40% with this one, and of course the putter has 0%, or 3% to 5%. So first I want to talk about these different percentages, right? So what does it mean, like when you see here 15 to 25, or 39, or let's say 40 to 60, right? So in my, in my experience, that this is kind of like a little RNG, where you get a number between that 40 and that 60. It might be based as well on the contact that you have, right? Especially in pro penalty, in pro difficulty, you have like this penalty there, this extra 10% based on the contact. So I didn't really figure it out 100% yet, but usually what I use is the lower number there. And another thing that I have figured out is that if you use irons generally, right? So like 9 to 3. By the way, don't use the 4 and the 5; they are broken as well. But yeah, check out another video about that. If we now take, let's say, the 6 iron here, which has like 40% to 60%, we could say, right? That here, actually, if I now think about like the usual distance for my 6 iron here in this case would be, let's say 180, 185, 190 carry distance, right? Not total distance. Now, if I have 40% of that 180, right? So 50% would be 90, right? And it would be probably something like, if it actually would be 40, it would be probably something like 73, 74. That's the distance we would get if we hit a 40% RNG shot here, right? Again, 40% to 60% maximum, right? So 60% would be 110-ish, right? So now like based on these numbers, we hit between 75 and 110, but I usually take the 75 number. And let's just see if that works, right? So let's just hit here out of the bunker a full, like around 100 miles sandwich. Sorry, not a sandwich, a 6-iron, right? And see what kind of yardage we're getting. And there it didn't travel far, and we can see 93.53, right? So you can imagine that if I would hit it a little bit harder, and this as well, you can see it here was quite towy, right? Then probably my 75 would actually be a good assessment there. And yeah, like it's very important. So now we have a new lie, right? So we hit this little 50-yard shot here into the bunker. And now let's take a look at the lies again. Now we have a 70% one, because this 50-yard shot was not that high, right? Can even show you a little something here. When we take the sandwich, and we just kind of make a little chip here, right? So like just a yard or so like this. And now it's kind of very much rolled even on the sand. Now let's take a look at the lie here. Okay, we have 70%. But like you can even have the best lies where it kind of just rolls into the sand. And I mean, the best lie you usually have in sand is like 70%, 75%, I mean, right? So probably here, if we just kind of touch it a little bit, you can see they always change usually every time. Like now we have 73, right? So we're getting pretty close to that optimal number, right? And we don't want this 40% or even 30% sometimes with this very high shots down into the sand. But yeah, let's get back to the sandwich here. And now we have the 70% to 90%, right? So now I would expect it to instead of go this 180, like minus 60, so maybe 120 if we have a 70% lie here with 100 miles. So let's hit another full 6 and see how far it goes. If it goes this 120 yards. Oh, I hit this very good, so it's gonna probably going longer. So it goes 150. Still, this shot here on a normal surface, right, with this hit, easily would carry probably like, like 100, 185, 190, right? So there was some penalty, but here you saw it was, I think it's something like 60 to 90, right? So here the RNG rolled like a little higher number. Let's see the new lie though, because it was a very long shot, right? It was like 150-yard shot into the sand again. And we have 74%. That's a pretty good roll now, right? 72 to 93. Let's just hit another 6 here somewhere. Okay, this one I closed the face though, so this will not go anywhere. But yeah, you can see here, this was promoed by the way, so you hit it like heady completely, closed face, and then it just gonna do nothing. You really have to hit them very precise. But let's take another lie here. Okay, now 43%, right? Even though the shot was just a very kind of close face 80-yard shot. So here we kind of got hit from the RNG with a very, very bad penalty. And now with the 42, trying to hit another 6-iron, right? I'm using now the 6-iron kind of to repeat and to figure out these numbers a little bit. Let's hit a good, solid middle of the club face 6. Okay, this wasn't too bad, right? We can see here 95, 107, 84, right? So there's this number, this 77 number that we wanted to reach in the start, which was like the 40% of the 180-yard shot. Here we have a little bit more than 100 miles club speed, so that explains why we are a little bit longer than this 77 yards. But you can clearly see here that the numbers, especially for the irons here, are actually making some sense, right? And yes, we have these weird RNGs sometimes that roll like better numbers, and I usually stick with the lowest number that I see. But yeah, that's anyway like whatever you can select, right? Maybe you can choose like when you have 40 to 60, you can say, okay, probably going to be around 50%. Now, knowing that it kind of works for the irons, let's go into the wedges though. And here we have 40% lie as well with the sandwich, and the full sandwich goes 110 yards. So let's just hit a full sandwich here, and based on that 40% lie, we should have now something like like 40, 45 yards. Let's see how far it goes. And 40 yards with 86, right? So this was actually a pretty good hit, even though here with this closed face, we see the club face was just a bit closed. I would expect the shot to go more like 115, 120 even with 86 speed. And we got only 40 out of this. So let's see if that is maybe some kind of pattern that we're getting quite a bit. Let's take a look at the new lie numbers. We have 48% this time, right? So now I expect something like maybe like 53 yards. Let's say. Let's see what kind of yards we're getting here. Okay. Wasn't a great hit. It says 100% contact though. But now, instead of that 53 yards, again close club face, maybe just a bit on the toe there, but we're getting only 42 yards out of it, even though we saw like 48%, right? Now, the last lie here, 65. So 65 should be probably like 70-ish, right? With the sandwich here, full shot. So let's make a full shot sandwich again. Maybe around 100 miles. And now we are getting, instead of that 60, like 65, we're getting 81, so it's even like more, right? So there the RNG kind of rolled us even maybe a higher number. What I have figured out though, and why I wanted to show you these kind of things, is that with the irons, I trust this number. When I see the new lie here, for example, here, it's like 46%, right? So I kind of take this lower number and I just roll with it, and usually it's quite nice. Although with the wedges, I figured that very often, somehow, the penalty is even bigger than it shows. So here in this case, we have 47 to 67. And I usually, as a kind of rule of thumb, even take something like 37 instead of the 47 number, right? Kind of make it even like 10% lower. So if I now know that in this case here, full sandwich goes, let's say with 47, it would go maybe, let me quickly do the math, something like 49 yards, right? 48 yards. Now if I extract even like something like 10 to 20%, I would probably say that now with this penalty here, right, which should now go 48 yards, it might just gonna only go something like 40 yards, right? Even though the full shot goes 110. So now let's see if I can get a 40 yards out of this with the full shot. Or what the RNG this time tells me here. And we can see 48, right? So here in this kind of case, it actually worked. Yes, we had a very good hit, right? A little bit closed face as well. You can see that here. So yeah, like very powerful hit, very good contact. Everything was perfect there. So if I just would be a little bit off, probably I would have gotten it to that 40. But yeah, it's a huge gamble. You can see that here, and a lot of guessing once you hit the rough or once you hit the bunkers, and what kind of like the lie condition is and what kind of club you should use. And let's quickly get it here into the cup. Make a little chip. Okay, that was against black. Trying to chip it in again against. It's a little bit tough, of course, in the sand. You cannot putt it here, but I want to quickly get it into the rough here. There you go. There's some rough here. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna get it there actually. Because I have to stand a little bit on the side. Actually, what we can do quickly is it's quite simple. We're gonna go to the favorites here, and then we're gonna go to the MK3, which I have put into my favorites. I can find it here, Sandland MK3. Reload the course, and then we're gonna just go, because on the first hole there was some, there's some rough. I quickly want to show you that as well. So I'm just gonna kind of chip it there, over there. Didn't hit it, but let's chip it into the rough. And we can see here these numbers in the rough, right? 81 to 85. They're usually way better, of course, with the long irons. Here you have like even sometimes worse number compared to the bunkers, because they're gonna be in this rough here. You can see there's a lot of grass that's gonna be in front of your club face, and therefore with the long irons you kind of struggle in this rough more than even in a fairway bunker. But what I figured is that actually in the rough these numbers actually make some sense, right? So here if we have a 77 yard penalty, maybe here with 80% to 85 with the lob wedge, where usually the lob wedge goes like 95, now we can easily say it would probably go like maybe like 77 with a full shot out of here. So let's make a full shot and see how far it goes. If we can get to that 77 number, 67 number, okay, but it was only 82 miles. I can see it here, even though it was a good hit, but we needed like 90 maybe. But yeah, usually you can trust the rough numbers way better than the sand numbers. But still, of course, the best way to avoid all this kind of trouble here is to just go on the fairway, right? So that's why, yeah, like the rough is quite tough in the game. The bunkers in general are very tough, and the semi-rough is usually quite decent, right? And therefore, yeah, just try to be maybe in the semi-rough, but of course the best would be being in the fairway. And yeah, I hope I made some sense in this video. And yeah, try to avoid really hitting these like high shots where then it kind of goes, especially in these greenside bunkers, just clocks into there. Rather like maybe if there's a bunker, like a very high risky play, there's just a bunker in front of the pin and you want to make this super cute shot, rather go long, because once you're in that bunker with like 30%, it's so tough to get it out there and to hit a decent shot, and it's way better than to make another up and down, maybe like a 30-yard up and down, gonna probably get you closer to the pin than just a 5-yard shot off the bunker with a 30% penalty, because it's so tough to kind of read it well. And yeah, I hope you liked this kind of video. I know it was kind of specific and so on. But anyway, I wish you a beautiful day and yeah, have fun. Ciao, ciao.